Es la voz de LA. It's like una galaxiana, come and kick it with us. I bring the bossa nova beats and talk the club that we love. Another year to adjust, and Will Kuntz we all trust. 6 titles in the cabin, tell the haters shut up. Mirar al horizonte con el cielo morado. Llegamos al estadio como siempre lo hago. Es la nueva temporada, ya cumplí 30 años. Rezándole a San Pequi que no dé al travesaño. Que repartan los balones y no sean tacaños. Que regrese el contraataque y que le hagamos daño. Un saludo para Robert, hermanos ecuatorianos. Que la táctica de Ananda nunca sean en vano. Si se trata de mi gala me levanto temprano. Ver el fur en verano, en el pasto tumbado. Siempre estoy a tu lado, en cualquier resultado. Vamos Galaxy, on top is where I gotta be. Chilling in the canopy, staging like a winery. Goals during rivalries, brew from the refinery. Only want the finer things, we letting you know. Lo que pasa en la galaxia, ready, let's start the show.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast always made with love for all you LA Galaxy fans and all you soccer fans as well. We appreciate you stopping by tonight. We have a fantastic show on tonight's episode. We're going to be talking about all the LA Galaxy news of the past couple of days, Nascimento's official renewal, return to the Galaxy, and the ever closer and pending arrival of Joao Klauss, who looks set to be the Galaxy's newest DP. And also, we'll take a look at the Galaxy's first preseason match, a 1-0 win over the Timbers. We'll be joined by my colleague at the Sporting Tribune, Anthony Bautista, who will be here to give us his thoughts on the state of the Galaxy ahead of another season of covering them for the Tribune. He'll also share his thoughts on the biggest decision LA has to make this offseason, how to replace star Ricky Puig. Plus, is a Manchester United star on the way to the Galaxy? He keeps being linked with this team in LA. We'll get Anthony's thoughts and if he would take him or not. All that and more coming up on La Cuna Galaxiana. And if you guys can see that man on that screen right there, man, he is he's suited and booted right there on that thumb, man. I mean, that's the homie Ant right there, man. We're gonna get some good thoughts from him a little bit later. But like I was mentioning, thank you guys so much for stopping by. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Halon. You can find my written work, of course, as we've already mentioned, at the Sporting Tribune. And you can also find me online at El Escudero de LA. And since I'm here, El Papa de Natita is here as well. They call him El Gitano Perdido. Somehow, some way, he was not born in the other land. I don't know how. I really don't know. He loves the receta español. Back, as always, my co-host, Anandita Kirana. Papa, I'm still that barbecue from yesterday, man. I hope you guys one day get to taste Ananda's barbecue.
You had a good weekend there, Bubba. You had a nice little Saturday, you know, a nice little Saturday morning, which I'm not going to repeat on the show, but you can because you deserve it and you can revel in it if you want. Cool Will's already thrown out the bants there this episode. Ananda doesn't like the way that Man U dominated Arsenal Sunday. Less said about that, the better. I was so forgetful that I forgot it was actually on Sunday. It was the same morning. It was actually yesterday morning. So that just goes to show how I put that in the rearview mirror. But anyways,
you're like, wait, that happened a couple days ago?
Less said about that, the better. But no, other than that, enjoyable weekend. But happy to be back with y'all. Rob, it's less than a month away till the Galaxy season officially starts, at least in MLS play. And we've got our first preseason game out of the way. We'll talk a little bit about that. But just excited, man, to really, you know, you've got the double trouble from the Sporting Tribune on today. So I'm excited, man, to talk ball with y'all.
Yeah, man. The Tribune taking over tonight, baby.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just gonna like sit back and shut up and listen to see if you guys have any exclusive. I'm ready for some breaking news, Papa. I'm ready for some breaking news.
Snap. So we'll see what Big Ant has to say, man. I gotta say, like, it's cool that Ant's gonna be on because we normally sit next to each other or like very close to each other at Galaxy games, and honestly, like, he just has, like, I make him put up with, like, listen to me bitch about how the team is playing, or like, man, this is happening, and it's like, man, he's just so patient with my bullshit. So,
hey, Anthony, been there, done that, man. It's all good. You live and learn.
Well, this year, Anthony will be on my left, you'll be on my right, and you guys will both have to listen to the bullshit. So have fun with that. But now, we'll get to him in a little bit, and like I said, Tribune coming at y'all.
Sir.
And hopefully, we hope to get a couple more of the colleagues from the Tribune here on the show as well. We have a fantastic writer that covers LAFC over there. And then if you need any Clippers or Lakers coverage, I mean, it's there. If you need any football coverage, basically anything in Southern California, we got you covered at the Tribune. So go ahead and check out the website. Like I said last show, we write things, and we appreciate the readership if y'all do want to read some stuff. Really quick, want to go to the comments here. Raul G, one of the homies, says, smash the like, just like we smash racism. Goddamn right, smash racism in all its forms. Y'all know what it is. Fuck guys all day, every day. So anyway, guys, we want to thank you guys for being here with us. And we are on the road to 800 subscribers, man. You guys have been digging that press conference content, and I tried a little something different this year called Minuto de la Mañana, and just hoping to bring you just bite-sized pieces of what's going on in Galaxylandia. So if you guys are enjoying that, let us know. Give us suggestions as well. We always love the feedback from you guys and what you're thinking. If you have anything to add, anything to ask, go ahead and put it in the super chats. They are live. If you want to ask Anthony anything, like, hey man, what's your favorite recipe to make on a Saturday? You can ask him through a super chat. It's there. It's available. And Andita, anything to add?
Well, no, just to tack on the super chats too, guys. We're planning a lot of stuff this year. Obviously, we've been talking about doing a live show for a little while. Maybe a new merch drop. Yeah, some more slaps. Another second design of the slaps. So, guys, obviously the super chats are there for you guys to interact with us, for you to ask questions. But everything that you help us out with on the show, we pour it back into the show and give you guys love back. We give you guys love back. So that's really all it is. I mean, it used to be for our what do we call her? Our horchata fund, right?
Yeah.
But hey, we're cutting out that sugar this year, so horchata.
Yeah, man. I mean,
gotta get an axe this year. So.
I got a little bit of sugar in the juice right here, but it's half juice, half water now this year, guys. We're trying to make healthier choices this year.
Hey, you just gotta take baby steps. You just gotta take.
Yeah, man. Right? That's what it is, baby. But moderation.
But no, seriously, again, anything that you guys obviously help us out with the show, we pour right back into the show and we show you guys love. So that's just how it is there. Of course, you can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana. You can find us on all of our socials at La Cuna Galaxiana is the tag there. And of course, papá, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches, y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. Speaking of less than a month away, season 4 of La Cuna Galaxiana is officially less than a month away as well. We'll give you more deets as it goes along as well. And we've got, new season brings new fresh tracks. So that will be coming soon.
Arquitecto. I mean, we've listened to the track already. It's fire. Arquitecto put it down once again. We may ask some of y'all that are at the CVI to help us out with the little video. Just stay tuned. We got a little something to work in. But yeah, man, it's fire. Shout out to Arquitecto, who always does his thing. And yeah, man, Ananda, we just like you mentioned, man, I mean, we have a couple of things in the works, like you said, some stickers, some potential merch out there. But you guys have brought up a live show a couple times, and that's something that we really want to do for you guys. I'm in the works. I'm master planning right now. I'm mad scientisting some stuff with my wife Sensei and mentor Marvin out there. Shout out to Marvin Migos and Lady Marvin as well. Man, we're trying to do something big for you guys. So keep on showing that love, keep on throwing those super chats in there, because these, like Ananda said, everything is gonna go right back into doing this event for you guys, for doing new forms of content, new exciting, kind of like Lacuna night at karaoke, or like Lacuna Loteria night. Like we want to do all that kind of stuff this year with you. Oh yeah, man, we're trying to do all that kind of stuff, man. I mean, basically, we talk about community a lot, and we want to this year get out and do some stuff with our community, man. So and that's where you guys come in. So anyway, you guys have already mentioned this this English Premier League rivalry match that's happened this weekend, right? And the lead up to that match, I'm going to spare Ananda the talking about the result or anything like that, because we're friends, and I don't want to get too in. But we did a preview video with Goals TV and brother Jose Bromigos, and it was a lot of fun. And then we did a watch along as well. So if you want to watch me lose my shit, you guys can go ahead and check out that watch along. And of course, you guys can catch us on Soccer in 60 pretty frequently here when it's not myself, it's Ananda. Sometimes it's both of us, and it's always a fun time. So Ananda, anything else to add before we get into these shout outs? And yes, Alex Konya, exactly. Anything else to add, Ananda?
After that, nope. Keep going.
No, absolutely nothing. You're like, I'm actually done with tonight.
Really quick, we could start this for later, but I don't have any more hints on what the kit will be. I haven't seen any more leaks, but if anyone in chat, by the way, has any breaking news, feel free to throw it down, guys. This is what you're here for.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I don't have any idea. Like, who is the really famous one that usually leaks the kits, man? Like, is it like Footy Headlines or something?
Footy Headlines, yeah, Footy Headlines.
Yeah, so that's honestly the one to watch for leaks.
I mean, of course, the only thing that we know is the 6 stars and how they're going to be arranged. That's been out there for a couple of weeks, but other than that, that's about it. So,
Ananda, I was shouting out Marvin a little bit earlier. Aisal Sensei, Marvin, we were just actually talking about this, this live show that we want to do, and we're just kind of teasing it a little bit. And I was letting them know that you kind of like our wife sensei, who is kind of mentoring us on the finer aspects. So, but anyway, guys, we'll keep teasing this as it gets more fleshed out. But something that is happening here pretty soon is the Community Cup presented by one of your supporter groups, the Galaxy Outlaws. If you guys know the Galaxy Outlaws, they're always regularly putting on community events and stuff like this. This is 8 teams, 1 day. Un trofeo, just one champion, no. So you guys are going to get massive bragging rights for the year. This is going down on 131, and of course, more details to be announced. Go ahead and keep it locked with the Galaxy Outlaw socials, so you guys can find out when exactly that's going down. Congratulations as well to another supporter group. It looks like they have a new leadership board. So we have one of the homies, Raleigh G, in.
Hey, I know that now. I know that guy.
Yeah, I know that guy, looking all suave right there with
shout out, man,
with the glasses, and of course, the homie Brian. Like, I've known Brian. He's right there, front right, Ananda, and I known Brian since I was going to the digs and just getting absolutely sloppy drunk with as a young man. And one of my favorite moments at the digs is like people had stopped singing a little bit, and he was like "Canten perros," and he was like, he immediately got everyone to sing again. It was, man, this is a this is a man that bleeds the Galaxy, man. This is a lot. I feel like a lot of good vibes are in there. Shout out to La Paresi as well, Gloria. Always made time for the show, a friend of the show. So shout out to her. And open invitation to anybody in ACB leadership to come on the show and let us know what's new and exciting. And speaking of new and exciting, ACB is going to be throwing a hardcore show pregame for the first match of the season. So, I mean, this is going to be pretty effing awesome because I know we've had, cumbia bands out there, like rock bands, but this is like legitimately a hardcore show. And this is going to be Barrio Slam, Cienfuegos, and Bastos in lot 13 before the first game of the season on the 22nd. So go ahead and check that out. If you play golf, and I know some of y'all do, the Galaxy Foundation will be returning to Desert Willow Golf Resort on February 6th for a golf tournament. If you go ahead and hit up lagalaxy.com/golf. You'll have the opportunity to get more information to play with your favorite Galaxy stars. Hit that up, y'all. That's not a me event because I'm terrible at golf, and I'd like to go one day, but someone's got to teach me how to play golf, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and quickly tell you about, and we're gonna get our guest Anthony's thoughts on this in a little bit. But the G's got a win in their first preseason match, a 1-0 win over the Portland Timbers on Friday, January 23rd. This was a closed-door scrimmage match at the Dicks. 1-0 was an Isaiah Parente goal was the difference. And the kind of like the big talking point from this, Ananda, was that Joseph Paintsel missed a penalty. So it looks like the penalty woes continue into this season. I mean, I keep offering my services. I'll take them. It's not a big. I'll go ahead and handle it, dog. Like, you know what? 5 pupusas, sign me for the year. It's all good.
Rob, real quick, I'm gonna ask Anthony later, but anything that you take out of this game, or is it just like going through the paces? Let's get the boys fit. Move on to the next one.
Are you asking me right now, or are you going to ask that to Anthony later?
Why don't we solve it? Let's leave for later then, I guess. Let's have a conversation around it. Because I think for me, there is something interesting to take away from it, other than the penalty miss, of course.
Okay. Yeah, no. We'll definitely ask him.
Cool.
If you guys are following along, that means there are 2 more closed-door scrimmages before the CVI. DC United on Saturday, the 31st, and then Orange County on Wednesday, February 4th. Then the Galaxy head to the desert for the CVI. They'll play on the 8th. That's Sunday, February 8th, which is Super Bowl Sunday, y'all. But you guys know where the real game is at. That's going to be against the Chicago Fire. And then on Wednesday, they'll be taking on St. Louis City on February 11th. That'll be Joao Klauss's return to St. Louis City. Yeah. And, of course, they're only participating in the first week, guys, because just a couple days later, they can have Champions Cup. But before they take on Sporting San Miguelito, they'll end preseason with a closed-door scrimmage match against Real Salt Lake on the 13th. That's Friday, February 13th. And, of course, if you guys still didn't know, somehow, some way, the dates for the Champions Cup against Sporting San Miguelito, Thursday, February 19th in Panama. Who is giving me a flight? Who's flying me out, y'all, at 5 p.m.? And we've been told that stadium is pretty small. So if you are going, hopefully you have your tickets already. It holds around 2,000 people, that stadium, I've been told. So the return leg is on February 25th. That's a midweek game on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Guys, I've called that out a bunch of times, but the first 9 days of the season are going to be pivotal for the Galaxy. 4 games, 9 days, and we're largely going to see a Galaxy team that has to go right into the thick of things. And just like Ananda said, less than a month away from a first match of the season, a tie against Justin Hack's old team, NYC FC, on February 22nd, which we asked him about the other day, and he said he's pretty excited about. So, he's got to have butterflies about that. But you know what? Speaking of butterflies, every time I go to a match and I have the opportunity to sit down next to this gentleman and his insight, man, I get those butterflies, man. And we're proud and happy to bring back on the show my colleague at the Sporting Tribune, my colleague in the press box, Anthony Bautista. Bienvenido de nuevo, papá. ¿Cómo estás?
What's up, guys? How we doing? Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Well, man.
Ananda, Rob,
welcome back.
Man? It's been a while.
It's been a hot minute, man. We're good. We're happy to have you back, and just excited to talk LA Galaxy soccer, man. There's a lot going on.
Of course, yeah. It's been a busy past couple weeks. I mean, honestly, since January 2nd, right? It's felt like there's just been something every other day. But yeah, I love it. I'm glad to be back. Thankful for you both having me back, and let's get into it.
Let's get it, Papa. Hey, remind me, the first time you were here, was Ananda like on vacation? Was it just me and you that first time, or Ananda, were you with us?
Shoot, I don't even remember. I think I was here. I think you did one with Alex when I was out.
Órale. Oh, I mean, you got a nickname already, baby. we're calling you Toñito now. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, cool.
Freaking Marvin.
Man, you've already heard me mention to the folk out there that, we usually sit either next to each other or quite close to each other. You hear me react all the time. You hear me, bitch all the time. You hear the best of me and the worst of me, man. And certainly you would have heard the worst of me in 2025 because, as we all know, the Galaxy didn't have a great season. But as we were sitting there kind of watching it all unfold, and as 4 games turned into 8 and 8 games turned into 12 and 12 games turned into 16, were you at all surprised at any moment? Like, were you like, damn, like this is actually happening right now? Like they just can't get that win.
None of it felt believable. I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody expected them, to start that poorly. But at the same time, and I think Sophie mentioned this on the last episode. Shout out to Sophie; she's a legend, by the way.
Shout out, Sophie.
But they use that Ricky Puig injury as a crutch way too often, and I think the more and more that winless streak built up, the more and more it was used as a crutch. Looking back on it.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. We talked about that a little bit too towards the end of the season.
Judge.
Well, not even with the judge, but I remember, Rob, us having those conversations here as well. It's like they never. 2 things. One is they never relished the challenge of being defending champions. I don't think they might have just rested too much on their laurels, on top of using the Ricky sort of hole in that roster as a crutch, like you guys said. And they just I just never thought they were mentally prepared for what it meant to be a defending MLS champion. Yes, your roster is gutted. Yes, your star player is out, but you can't make stupid mistakes like you did in San Diego to lose a game in the final minutes like you did. That's just unacceptable, right, guys?
Yeah, I mean, it happened all year, bro. I mean, I know that there was moments throughout the season where I was definitely taken aback at something that I saw a player do, or like sometimes it was a veteran. Sometimes, I mean, there was a lot of things going on. I mean, but for you, Ant, what was the biggest issue, or perhaps maybe the biggest disappointment in this season last year?
Well, I think more often than not, at least what we saw was the lack of cohesion, especially in the back line. And I think that was the major thing that they tried to address this offseason. And when I say they, I mean the front office. And of course, that was another thing that I think they tried to address was the lack of leadership. We heard John Nelson talking about it during the media availability, that he himself, he said it himself, that he should have been, more of a leader last season. He should have taken more steps to be more of a vocal leader. They needed any sort of help last season. But going into this season, I think, especially with the signings of Glesnes, and then you have Hack and the rumor of Klauss, these are all veterans. These are all guys who are familiar with the MLS. And I think that leadership is something that they're looking for between all 3 of them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, when we spoke to Jakub Glesnes, I mean, he just exudes leadership, man. He you could tell that he takes everything kind of like personally, and he's going to take every win and every loss as like an on me kind of thing. And so, yeah, I mean, he just, like I said, he exudes that leadership quality. You can feel it off of him. And even when we saw him kind of like walking out, people were kind of just like, kind of gravitating towards him. It was kind of interesting, actually. But, this is a team that Ananda has described as being heliocentric around a man called Ricky Puig. Obviously, that's a great picture, by the way, with the lights in the background. Good job, Galaxy Photography, or whoever took it. But we now know that Ricky Puig is going to be out for the rest of 2026 as well, right? After the disappointment of not having him in 2025, now we know 2026. We know that it was kind of gut-wrenching because January 1st comes around and he's texting teammates and texting Will and Greg that everything's cool, and January 2nd, he texts him that he has to go back under the knife. So we know all this, right? We know he's gone. It's an emotional wreck. It's got to be mentally and psychologically taxing on Ricky. It's got to be so for his teammates. We know all this, right? But football is so cruel that you don't really have time to dwell on something like this, right? And so, since football is a business, right? What do you do regarding Ricky Puig? I mean, there's obviously the Joao Klauss thing is not even a rumor anymore. It looks all but certain. Just we haven't gotten the official announcement,
right?
So it looks like he's going to be the next DP, but I wouldn't say he's like a like for like replacement. So what do you do regarding Ricky Puig? Do you try to bring in the best player you can to kind of like replace him, and then when he comes back, kind of like figure out what happens then, or do you just kind of find a player like Klauss that's kind of like a stopgap? Put your GM hat on for a moment for me, and if it were you, what would you do, considering that there's the World Cup break, the change in the calendar, all that kind of stuff?
Of course, there's a lot of layers that go into this, and I mean the timing is horrible, right? You like we all said, you flip the calendar, looking forward to 2026, and then second day of the year you get hit with the worst possible news, almost, it seems like, which is unfortunate. But I think that's part of the reason why the Galaxy went out and got Klauss, because he's somebody who, when a team goes up 1-0 and they transition into a low block, which we saw a lot of times last season, they can get it into somebody who's a big body like Klauss, who can body defenders, create space and play it into him from there, especially on days when, and we saw this a lot last season as well, when the midfield just could not contend at all. You know what I mean? The midfield was about as solid as gelatin. So I think on days like that, that's where somebody like Klauss helps out. Is that enough? I don't think so. Now, the problem is the Galaxy don't exactly have a lot of money to spend. I believe they were fourth from the bottom in GAM, right?
Yeah.
So that's not a lot of wiggle room there. So who do you go out and get? Another MLS veteran? Do you try and bring back Diego Fagundes? Is that the best of a bad situation? Somebody who's familiar with the system, somebody who immediately can come in and be a leader? I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah. Well, Rob, I was going to say, like, I've been kind of thinking about this, like, in terms of the strategy that Will Kuntz and the front office ended up taking, which is, we talked about on the show, and my mind's kind of changed on this too over the course of the process. But, we talked about, do the Galaxy go with 4 DPs and kind of figure it out later, right? Do you get the best available? And I thought about, I'm going to throw a name out there. I didn't think it had a realistic shot of happening anyways, but if you could get a guy in the profile or a stature like Weston McKennie or Gio Reyna, like one of those names, right?
Do you love that Weston?
Well, I threw in Gio Reyna in there just for you, because we had that conversation with who did we have that conversation with the other day? I
think it was with Jose.
Yeah, I can't remember. But in any case, so I think what's interesting about this, just take the on the field stuff for a second, but think about what signal that sends to the players that are here and Ricky Puig if you have 4 DPs and none of their futures are secured. So you think about in Ricky's case, it's like, okay, they got someone to replace me, but are they still investing in me? Do they still believe in me? Like they brought in another star midfielder like Weston McKennie or Gio Reyna, right? So you think about the psyche from Ricky's perspective, and then you think about the psyche from JP and Peck's perspective. It's like, oh, okay. Am I like, I don't know, does that give them less motivation this year? If you're kind of playing for your next contract, but then you're not sure about your future because the front office has to make a decision about axing someone. So then are you going to be full in 100% this year? Like, from a dynamics perspective in the locker room, I that's something I thought about the last couple of days, and I was like, you know what? Let's just get rid of that scenario completely. And you do a solve like this with Joao Klauss, where it's very clear there's going to be 3 DPs next year, and when Ricky comes back, there's going to be 3 DPs next year. Klauss is clearly going to play for a long-term contract, and if all goes well, it looks like he is going to be a tammable player, so you can keep him next year and beyond. Mm-hmm. So the more I think about this from a, like, putting out any possible fires, putting out any bad juju in the locker room and those player and team dynamics, because we all know that football players are competitive, and also that they can be very, testy and somewhat and emotional, like they're humans, right? So I think this is the right way to go if I think about it even from that lens of, like, just keeping the harmony and a clear sort of pathway for all these players in the locker room. I don't know. Something that I thought about, and I was like, what do you guys think about that? I thought that was just like a locker room dynamic that I think is interesting.
No, I mean, you bring up an interesting point. It gives the players clarity on their roles and like their futures, and that's always going to be good for a player, right? It's if they're always wondering like what's next, probably going to weigh on the mind, probably going to affect the performance.
Yeah.
What you think, Ant?
I think that also comes down to Vanny managing egos. You know what I mean? Making sure that everybody is happy one way or another. And I think winning erases all. At the end of the day, if the Galaxy can go on a run, whether that's maybe a second round exit or even a Western Conference final after last season, I think that's a win, and that would be enough to keep Greg's job safe. Because let's be honest, if they go out there and don't meet expectations once again, I don't know if they'll keep him around for 16 matches without a win like they did last season. I mean, we saw what happened to Nancy over there.
Sick, right?
Yep.
Yeah, man, it's tough. I mean, I think you're right. He's definitely not going to get that leash. You kind of already mentioned that you don't think that the Galaxy are done in the window, and certainly we got from Will and Greg that they're not done. But let's examine what we have so far. Jakub Glesnes first. Justin Hack comes in second. John Nelson gets a contract extension. Nascimento gets a loan deal extension. Zonka confirmed to be leaving. What would you give the Galaxy's offseason so far, knowing that it's not done? And like you said, it's potentially, still got a couple of pieces to add.
Of course, and that's what I was basing it off of as well. I watched the media availability, and both Greg and Will were talking about how they needed, another piece or two. But I assume that second piece is Klauss that they were talking about. However, I mean, before the Ricky injury, it looked like, it looked like they were meeting all their needs, and then all of a sudden you have this big gap in the midfield. So because of that, I would give this grade a B, just because you did meet a major need in the backfield, which is, that you can't be leaking goals like you did last season, of course. But then I think securing Nelson long-term was huge. He's another guy who, like I said earlier, he wants to step up. He wants to be a leader. And having him long-term, I think that provides a sense of stability back there as well. And he's somebody who can also get involved on offense too. So he's a bit of a wild card back there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to play a little game now, Mr. Anthony. Basically, you can say approve, overpaid, or red flag. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Approve, overpay, or red flag. All right. So what we know so far of the Klauss deal, what's been reported by Tommy Bogert, shout out Tommy, is that it'll be about a 3.3 million cap hit, which firmly puts him in the DP category. Like Ananda said, probably tamable next year as this contract ends. But Klauss as a DP for the Galaxy as a stopgap in this year where Ricky Puig isn't there. Approve, overpay, or red flag?
Approve. I think because this isn't a normal situation, you know what I mean? You're almost using it as a bandage, for the Ricky Puig situation. So I would say approve. In this scenario, you have to fill the need. And, of course, Klauss fills that need. And without the injury, Klauss probably isn't on the Galaxy's roster at this point.
Yeah. Alrighty. So we have our next one. The Galaxy picked up Jakub Glesnes, and that one is about 1.1 million in GAM. Obviously, that's split 500K in 2026, 600 racks in 27. As it relates to Glesnes' signing, approve, overpay, or red flag? Mind you, 31-year-old.
Right. I was gonna say that's the tough part. He's on the wrong side of 30. He's on a bit of a prove it deal. But I think the benefit of it is that it's a short-term deal. So I'm going to give it an approve. If this was, a long-term deal, maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe that would be a little bit more of a red flag. But I think because, the Galaxy you're just looking towards this season. And then, at the end of this season, it looks like they're going to restructure some things. And in 27, make some decisions and restructure the roster there. However, I'm going to give this one an approval.
Okay.
Yeah, and his injury record's been really good too over the past few years. Like
he's available.
He's one of the Iron Men for the Philadelphia Union. So we're hoping, knock on wood, that trend continues, and hopefully, he gets some good guidance and a training or recovery method from the training staff, because that's huge. Like we need that record. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Well, Justin Hack followed Glesnes. What was interesting on his deal was that it was a 1-year deal with an option. We spoke to Justin about what was going on there, and he told us basically, MLS rules, how they are, but that he anticipates signing a longer deal after that. As it's currently constructed, 1 year with the option. Justin Hack, approve, overpay, red flag.
I'm gonna have to give this one another approval, just because again, they're playing the long game with this one, and they know that Justin Hack is somebody who's very talented. I believe Greg Vanny used the word versatile over under like 10 times when he was describing his ability. But that's great. That's really something that the Galaxy need, because another thing that we saw last season was the injuries kind of racked up, and that could happen to any given team. And to have somebody who can play multiple positions, that's golden. That's exactly what you need in those scenarios, especially when you get into those dog days in the summer, and when the league comes back in July and August, you're going to need somebody who can play multiple positions.
Yeah, you're right. Versatile was the buzzword, and even when we describe him, like we've used that word a bunch, but it's true. I mean, he's an asset. All right, we've spoken about. Go ahead, Amanda.
Sorry, no, I was going to say, even Matt Doyle in his article, I think he dropped that earlier this week or maybe last week. He talked about breakout players for this year. I mean, Justin Hack's ceiling is, he could be a best 11 guy that might want to sneak into the World Cup roster. Like, he's got that much of a ceiling, right? And so it's definitely an approve and gives the Galaxy a lot of flexibility. He's also betting on himself that he's going to deserve that long-term contract. And so, again, I think this is, well, maybe 1A, 1B, but man, this is a transformative signing for the Galaxy the more I think about it.
Ananda, I just want to point out that you, I think, are the first person to call out Justin Hack for the U.S. men's national team. So if it actually happens, remember, you guys, where you heard it first. El Brujo Ananda. All right. So, all right. We've already spoken about Klauss and his deal and stuff like that and the specifics. But let's look at it a little bit more abstractly, right? Just the idea of choosing a striker over a number 10 to bring in, right? Because Ricky's a 10, or like not really a 10, but what you can consider a 10, right? The creative player, right? And the Galaxy bring in Joao Klauss, which is a striker. So approve, overpay, or red flag. Choosing a striker over that number 10 position.
Now I'm going to give this one a red flag, only because to me, it seems like the Galaxy are already accepting, like, okay, we're not going to be able to build up anything out of the midfield or maybe even out of the back. We're going to need somebody who can create something on his own, somebody who, when somebody's playing a low block against us, we're going to be able to get him the ball and hopefully he can create a shot. I mean, he had 3 pretty nice ones against the Galaxy last season.
Yeah.
So I think this one was a little bit more of a red flag, only because of the scenario that they're in, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm also with Potter on this one. He said we needed a striker after last season. I mentioned this when we were in Soccer in 60, Rob. Shout out to those guys. But I looked at the starting like, if we had gone in this season with a starting duo of Nascimento and Ramirez, I'm shaking my head at that. I'm like, there's still a MLS starting level striker missing from this roster, right? And so now you brought that in. So I see where you're at with the red flag, Anthony, but I think it was still a necessity. Like, we needed a proven goal scorer on this team. Otherwise, rinse and repeat from last year, to be honest.
Well, let's talk about the other striker. The Galaxy brought back Matheus Nascimento. They made that loan deal official a couple of days ago. And we now know that he's signed to the Galaxy through June 2026. I believe that just makes it a 6-month deal. We haven't heard about anything else about those crazy clauses, like, if he plays 50% of the games,
right?
They have to buy him or anything. That's not to say that they're not in the deal. We're not privy to the deal, but we haven't heard about anything like that.
Of course,
as we know of the deal, which is it's a loan deal from Botafogo for 6 months. Approve, overpay, or red flag, bringing Matheus Nascimento back.
Approve, because I like the way that they structured this. It's very much a prove it deal as well, saying, okay, you have until June, prove it to us. Prove it to the LA Galaxy that you deserve to be on this roster, after the World Cup. And I think that's important, again, because it doesn't give him very much as long of a leash as last season, where last season you were just waiting like, okay, he's new to the league. He's got to figure it out. He's young. It's similar to the Cam Newton, the way he treats these young receivers. Like, we only give that benefit to the young players. You got to step it up someday, somehow. And I think this is the time for Nascimento. He has the next 6 months to prove himself.
Yeah. And I'm gonna shout out Matt Doyle again, because one of the things or Matt Doyle or David Goss. By the way, shout out David Goss and Soccer Wise crew. I think one of them, they always say that, like, judge international players on their second season. So this is a big season now for Nasi. I think he's got to prove himself. Sophie talked about last show that he was one of the bright spots. Actually, when we had a decent spell in the middle of the season, he was one of the few bright spots on this team. So hopefully he can pick up that production. But yeah, it's definitely a prove it deal. But for me, I'm optimistic. I think it's a low risk, high ceiling pick for the Galaxy.
Tonito. Nasty Nas hit 6 goals and 4 assists in 28 matches last year, and Will Kuhn spoke him up, said that he's tipped to do bigger things this year. If he had 6 and 4 last year, what is acceptable for you to be able to say he's progressed?
If he can get 6 by June, there we go. I'm gonna say 6 to 8 goals by June would be great. But if he can double that production by the end of the season, because I think it seems like the Galaxy are going to try to go striker by committee, and maybe have Ramirez start a game or two here and there, have Nascimento start a game here and there, Klauss start a game here and there. I don't think they're going to truly rely solely on one striker for the entirety of the season. It seems like they're going to go, they're going to have a rotation.
Yeah, no, I called that what they called that in Moneyball, where you said, striker by rotation. What do they say in Moneyball? They say replacing them in the aggregate.
In the aggregate, there we go. Yep.
Yeah. So I think you're very much right. Like, they will go ahead and try to replace the striker in the aggregate, right? Okay, last one here for you in our game. John Nelson's extension gives him a contract guaranteed through the 27-28 season with an option for the next year. Of course, John Nelson came into the Galaxy after basically getting cut by St. Louis, then becomes a champion here, and he becomes one of Greg Vanney's basically most dependable players. John Nelson's extension, approve, overpay, or red flag?
Definitely improve on this one, just because of the versatility that Nelson brings as well. And I think he's somebody that you want in the locker room. He just seems like such a positive force to be around. He seems like, he's also taking accountability in himself. He has goals set for this season. He said himself he wants to be more of a leader. And I think that's somebody that you want to keep around. That's somebody that you want to keep as like a cornerstone. And he's going to be Vanney's Greg he's going to be his ace in the hole.
Yeah, no, he seems very earnest. I mean, I asked him, like, where do you want to take the next step? Like, and he's known as a defensive player, but he wants to add that offensive side to his game. And of course, like we've mentioned a couple times, he wants to become more of a leader for this Galaxy team. I agree. I mean, I'm pretty much there with all your calls here. I also agree that maybe choosing a striker over number 10 wasn't the way to go, but I guess we'll see in the future, right? Because like Anand said, they did need a striker, but they also do need a number 10. So we'll see how that kind of resolves itself. The Galaxy did a lot to add to their back line. We've already talked about Glesnes, Hack. They extended John Nelson, and then they also added a couple of offensive pieces with Klauss, and then bringing back Nascimento. Mm-hmm. In your view, by addressing the defensive issues, is that what the Galaxy most needed to take care of in the offseason?
Absolutely. I forgot who asked Will Kuntz, what was the major driving factor between the biggest signings being defenders. And it was, goals allowed. And sometimes it's as simple as that. Sometimes it's just, we allowed a lot of goals, so we better work on our defense. And I think, that reflects in the Galaxy signings. And they went out and got people who were veterans, who were familiar with this league, who have been there, done that, who can help this team if they were to make a run into the postseason, players who have been there and done that. And I think that's monumental as well, as compared to last season where you brought, a few guys who weren't familiar with the league, a few guys who had to, acclimate to MLS, travel, all the other things that come with that. So I think this is definitely an improvement for the LA Galaxy.
Let me ask you guys a question, you two, and Chad as well. As again, we haven't seen a game played out on the field yet, but on paper, do you think that this is a better defense than 2024?
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay.
I think
so let's pull up the comparison. In 2024, the LA Galaxy conceded 50 goals.
Yeah.
Versus last year at 66. So
66.
If you guys are saying that now this is a better defensive team on paper, defensively, right, with the additions of Glesnes and Hack in particular, and so by default, we should be better than a 50 goal against defensive team, which, to be honest, like that should put us in the top. Number one, we're a playoff team. That should at least put you in the playoffs. And number two, you now have a good shot to sneak into that top four if you nick a couple of goals here and there and get those 2-1, 1-0 victories. So it's going to be really interesting this year, I think, just like the dynamics and how things are going to shift with the personnel that we have. Because like I said, I mean, you guys, and I agree with you, we're a better defensive team on paper this year than 24. In 24, we gave up 50 goals. So the objective should be, we should be a 40, between 40 and 50 goal allowed team this year. And that should be the objective. That should be the directive. That should be on everyone's scorecard at the end of the season.
Well, if I remember correctly, Justin Hack was part of an NYCFC back line that gave up 44 goals last year. And then Jakob Glesnes was part of a Philly back line that gave up 34 goals last
35.
year.
35. Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was one off. My bad.
No, unreal, but like very good defenses.
40, right.
Yeah. So
got to be the goal.
If you take that in the average, that's 40, right? It's basically like 40,
Yeah, and if you're a 40 goal against, like if you're in between 40, 45, 50, like you're in a good spot. You're middle of the road towards
fantastic chance to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and with this new improved back line, who benefits the most from this defensive rebuild?
I'm going to say Glesnes just because it provides him an opportunity to prove himself, to prove, that he can be a leader, that he can get this team back to where they expect to be. And that would be a nice way for him to, he can ride this thing out for the last few years of his career, if he ends up being consistent. I'm going to say Hack as well. He can be a cornerstone piece for the Galaxy in the future. And that's somebody who the Galaxy can really lean on. It's tough though, right? Because without Ricky Puig, it kind of puts a damper on everything. You kind of wonder, like, oh man, like what could they have looked like, with the healthy Ricky Puig out there too?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like what could have been. I mean, like I hope this is not the case, but I brought up a couple weeks ago that it could potentially have already been the last time we saw the Killer Bees together. The prevailing wisdom is that at some point the Galaxy will cash in on Gabriel Peck, and who knows when that'll be? Maybe before 2027. Who knows? But it's interesting that the Galaxy have prioritized this defensive rebuild, and I think you might be onto something, right? Because in Philly we saw a Jakob Glesnes that was playing in a system that was very different. When we spoke to him, he mentioned that he relished the fact that he was going to be able to play balls through the lines again, that he was going to be able to show off his passing range. So while we've been harping on Justin Hack's versatility and the fact that he can play that CDM role and he has good vision, I mean, apparently, from what Greg says, Jakob Glesnes has tremendous vision, just completely bypassing that middle, that midfield, and just getting it to a striker in the front. So I can't wait to see Jakob Glesnes all of a sudden launch a 40-yard pass to, a streaking Joseph Painsil for him to run in on goal.
Well, and that makes me think too. You asked Anthony earlier, like, who benefits the most? I mean, this might be a heady answer, but we talked about this with Sophie last time, Rob. It might be the attack, just in the simple fact that the attack now, there's more room for error. There's a more margin for error. So like we talked about, Peck and Paintsel are stepping up to the plate, not being 2 goals down and saying, oh crap, like I better bury this chance for us to get back in the game. And they can feel more relaxed knowing that they've got a rock solid defense and foundation back there to say, okay, we're going to at least keep this a 0-0 or a 1-goal game, so that now when I'm in the offensive third, number one, I'm not tracking back so much because I have to help out my defenders, because my back four and my defensive midfielders have it on lock. And number two, I can feel more confident because now I don't have the pressure and the weight of being 3 goals down in a match after 30 or 40 minutes, right? So in a weird way, like, and on top of, you guys talked about the passing, we can play more direct this year. We can use sort of the ball ability or ball playing ability of Hack and Glesnes. I think the attack is going to benefit a lot, guys, just from that simple fact. Again, might be a heady answer, but I think there's something there.
In a year of 2024, and that was basically dominated by the Galaxy's offense. I mean, they set records for goals scored. The Killer Peas were in fine fettle. Dayon was busting fools. And then now we have 2026, right? Where it looks like the focus is on the defense. Is that the Galaxy's new identity, you think, going into this year? Are they going to be that gritty defensive team that, grinds out these results?
It seems to be. I mean, if we can, it's the first preseason match of the season, but it was 1-0 victory. And if there's anything to base it off there, I think that's the tone that they would like to set going forward in 2026. They did miss a penalty. I saw, shout out to the Portland Timbers for actually posting footage from the match, but
specifically that.
Yeah, specifically that.
And of course, in 2025 Galaxy, they might put their heads shut down and lose 2-0. Now this team, they came back, they stayed in it, and I believe Parente, right, he scored the goal in the second half. Yeah. They won 1-0. When's the last time the Galaxy won 1-0?
There you go. And Rob, I'm glad Anthony brought that up, because that was my biggest takeaway. We talked about it earlier. What the biggest takeaway from that, or if there was any takeaways, for me it was that 1-0. I mean, you would have expected in maybe previous preseasons or closer scrimmage or whatever, we didn't really pay attention to the score too much, but it was like 4-2, 5, whatever, like 3-3, 2-2, right? 1-0, Rob. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to read in too much into one game. It's a closed door game. It's a scrimmage. They're still wearing their like orange training gear, right? Like, or a gray training gear. It's not that deep. It's not that serious, but if this continues, it's something to build on. It's only one game, but if this is an early sign, I'm liking the early sign. I mean, yes, it might be a little bit of a bore fest for Galaxy fans, but I guess the question is, what do you guys prefer, Galaxy fans? Like your heart racing like this throughout the 90 minutes, or like keeping it chill? Yeah, knowing that you can grind out a result, right? So there you go.
Yeah, no, there's a certain amount of
comfort.
Comfort in not having to worry about your defense. You know what? We're looking at a team that's about to give up a 2-goal lead,
Like exactly. I just think of like your text last year, Baba, it's too early. This is the Galaxy. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it always bite me in the butt.
I don't know if you've heard this one, Anthony, but when the Galaxy
San
played,
Diego.
No, it was Philly.
Oh, was it Philly? Yeah, it was
Philly. Yeah, it was Philly because the Galaxy went up 2-0.
2-0 half.
And Ananda was hitting me up, and he was like, oh, first win incoming, this and that. And I was like, man, I would like to say yes, but I've seen this team give up 2-goal leads and give up terrible goals before.
Plenty of them.
Yeah, and they ended up losing 3-2, right? And so
And
all
I think
year
mentioned that in his availability too, right? That he remembered that game and seeing like that the Galaxy just didn't have any confidence, and that's something that he wanted to help with.
Absolutely. So and it's cool that he was able to identify that, because again, that just shows his leadership. Like, this is something that we need to work on, and we'll get there, right? Based on the personnel that they have this year, right? They have Justin Hack, who we've called out his versatility. We've called out a new striker, Klauss, who can kind of create for himself. With center backs that they do have, people have talked about maybe playing a 3 in the back. But if you were Greg, based on the players you have, would you change kind of that play style that Greg is famous for, that possession base, 4-3-3, sometimes that 4-2, in the back, the double pivot?
Right. And I think they can experiment a little bit, especially given the versatility of the guys they just brought in. Maybe we could see a 3-5-2 lineup one of these days. Who knows? But I think that double pivot wouldn't be bad, especially if you have like maybe a combination of Hack and Surreal back there. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that. I think Greg is going to experiment a little bit in the first half of the season, as he should. You have the guns for it. Why not?
In your opinion, is there a move or maybe a non-move, something the Galaxy haven't done, that you think matters more than fans realize?
Not at the moment. I think there's still something that they're trying to get going, whether that's, finding another midfielder. Maybe they're trying to find a way to bring back Fagundes. Who knows what that is? I don't want to fully judge the offseason yet, because, both Will Kuntz and Greg Vanney both said that they're not done yet. So I think it's still a little too early to tell. And, they still have a little bit less than a month. So we'll see what the Galaxy end up doing. I think they're probably going to end up going somebody who's been around the MLS, just because that's where their first few signings have been. So stay tuned. We'll wait and see. I think afterwards, if they were to, let's say they go and get another defender, they don't get a midfielder, I think that would be a red flag.
Okay, you heard it. Well, I love it when folks tee me up, because you were talking about who they would bring in. It is time for transfer rumors. Yay! Anand, do you have that button that's like yay? No, okay. Well,
no, I don't. I don't have. I do not have that one, but I do have this one. Rob,
Job's not finished.
Yeah, job isn't finished.
Yeah.
Do we have a button that's like? No, do we have that one?
I gotta get that in there, man. It's season 4. Upgrade.
Okay, season 4. We'll make the improvements. But transfer rumors, the Galaxy have been linked with a bunch of different people. Some of them are realistic, some of them are not. Obviously, we know about the Klauss one basically becoming true. I mean, he was pictured in the St. Louis airport on his way to Los Angeles with this little puppy.
Saw that.
See that, y'all? I love that. Anyway, the Galaxy, understandably, have said that they're not done in the transfer window. Will said that 1 or 2 more pieces. Greg said that it could be even 2 or 3 pieces. He's pretty optimistic. But one of the rumors that's been breaking recently has been putting a current Premier League star that plays for Manchester United going to the Galaxy. One Casemiro. How do you feel about this rumor? Is this something that the Galaxy should go ahead and pull the trigger on? I'll give you the floor on this one.
I mean, given the current state of MLS, I understand, especially, you got the neighbors up the 110 who, they signed Sonny. You look to Miami, they have Messi, you want to bring in a big name, perhaps. I don't think this is the right way to go about it. I think Casemiro just wants to come to LA, go on vacation, retire, live by the beach. I don't think this is the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it a couple times already. I don't think it's the way to go either. I mean, he's a defensive midfielder. The Galaxy clearly need help with an attacking midfielder. But it still has not gone away. It's been like, when's the first time we talked about this, Ananda? Like 2.5, 3 weeks ago?
No, was it that long ago?
Yeah,
I thought it was
just like at least 2 weeks.
I thought it was just a recent thing, but I mean, this is a non-starter for me. I know maybe like a couple of weeks I heard the LAFC connections and links, but look, I think especially after, when did he make that announcement? Like last week officially on his socials. Yeah. So I think this is just,
I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday.
This is just his agent trying to drum up interest. I mean, look, let's look at the cold hard facts too, guys. Like he's getting paid about 19 million British pounds per year. That's about $30 million. I mean, there's no MLS team that's going to pay him not even half of that, not even like 20% of that. Like it's a ridiculous salary, right? So like the reality is, if he wants to chase the bag,
Cosmo's got it, bro.
If he wants to chase the bag, he's probably going to go to a league like Saudi. If he wants sort of like to go back to his family and that's more important to him, then he's probably going to go back to Brazil, right? I just don't know if MLS is a reasonable landing spot for him. I could be wrong, but for the LA Galaxy specifically, you nailed it, Rob. Like the Galaxy do not need a defensive midfielder. They clearly need an attacking 10. And you've got Will Kuntz always talks about it's not only about quality, but it's about character. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of motivation concerns, like how geared up is Casemiro, like how psyched is he to play in this league and fully embrace it. Those are huge question marks, and I just think this is a non-starter. Full stop.
Casemiro, allow me to be your agent for one moment. Go get the bag. This is probably your last big contract. Go get the bag. Saudi. Man.
Probably
they want to throw you the bag. Go get it, man. I think we're all in agreement. Casemiro's not the player that the Galaxy should be picking up here. I mean, obviously not the skill set that they need. They need somebody to progress the ball, somebody that's going to be able to lead this attack or have the ball kind of go through them. Casemiro's not that guy. With the players the Galaxy currently have on their roster, Ant, who are you most excited to see in 2026, or / who do you think could take like that next leap?
Well, we saw Parente was the one who scored the goal, right? You know, maybe this is his breakout season. Maybe he starts to take the next step. You know, there is a big gap in the midfield, so maybe this is the season where Isaiah Parente takes that next step and he becomes a more reliable face in the Galaxy midfield.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought you would have called out Parente. But that's an interesting one. Yeah, no, but you're right. I mean, got his contract extended, and at the end of last season when we were talking about the midfielders in Honda, I actually said that, you know, if to justify that extension, he's going to have to take a next leap this year. Absolutely. So
there's a few young players in this Galaxy roster. I mean, you think about guys like Ruben Ramos, Tucker Lepley. So it looks like, you know, Anthony's pegging Isaiah Parente to take that next leap, sort of like what Mauricio Cuevas did last year, or Harbin Miller. There's a lot of really interesting guys on the fringes, Rob, like this year that are poised to take that leap. It's just a matter of whether they get the right playing time and, of course, whether they perform. And in Harbin Miller's case, it was a case of injuries. It was by default, right? So I wonder who that next person is. Isaiah Parente is a really interesting shout. I think for me personally, he hasn't been convincing. Like last year, there was a couple of moments where it was clear that he couldn't handle that single pivot alone. There was a few cases where he wasn't technically enough sound on the ball, and we lost the ball in our own half, led to a break or even goals going the other way. So he's got a lot of room for improvement. But I look at those other guys, like, can a Tucker Lepley break through? Can a Ruben Ramos break through? Can a Elijah Winder break through in his second season? That's a guy we haven't talked about yet. There's a lot of guys like that, and it'll be interesting to follow some of those stories this year for sure.
I just want to call out that Potter says that LAFC is getting Lewandowski. I don't want to break your heart on it, but dang, can you imagine?
Well, isn't he friends with Marco Reus? I mean, maybe.
Yeah, they were teammates. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, Lewandowski could go anywhere at this point. It'll be interesting to see what happens after the World Cup, and there's going to be a lot of like interesting free agents too after the World Cup. And Rob, I was going to go back to this when we talked about Klauss, but you know what? What did you ask? You asked Anthony earlier, sort of like, what's the move or non-move that's interesting. Right now, I'm looking at particularly our logjam at striker. Guys, we've got 3 strikers now on this team. Like, and from a non-move perspective, I look at a guy like Christian Ramirez and say, is he going to stick around? Like, is he expendable at this point? Like, is he going to get enough playing time? He's striker number 3 at this moment in time. I'm gonna pull up the latest depth chart here. To me, that's a logjam at striker. I don't know if you need 3 strikers. Almost like the conversation we had with goalkeeper last year. I don't know if you need 4 goalkeepers, right? Like, someone's got to go at that point. And so maybe that's like the GAM relief or the allocation money relief that we need to sign like a really high quality DP number, or not DP, but a high quality number 10 is solving that logjam at striker. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know. They've talked about depth a lot.
But 3 strikers? Well, 3 strikers in a 1 striker system. Now, if Greg plays 3-5-2, like Anthony suggested, I could see that. But is Greg going to play 2 strikers? Has he ever played 2 strikers?
I don't know. I mean,
he hasn't, right?
I called for the Galaxy to cash in on Christian last year, and certainly we know now through Tommy's reporting that they tried to in the summer by giving him a loan to Minnesota. So I would venture to say that if anybody's going to go, it's Christian Ramirez, but I don't know. I kind of don't see it happening because of the amount of depth or attacking options they're going to need early on. But that's just me.
And I think that was part of the reason why Nascimento was only signed through June, because maybe, in the first half of the season, he'll decide, Greg will decide, okay, you know what, maybe we can do without Nascimento, or, maybe we can do without Ramirez. So maybe they're looking at June as like the deciding point to,
could be
narrow down their strikers.
Yeah. I mean, it could be too, and it could be at that point that they decide to either loan out or sell or trade Ramirez within the league. And remember, guys, after the World Cup, now there's all these attacking options are going to come on the market, right, in that summer transfer window. So maybe like if the Galaxy are in a position like they were in 24 that says, okay, now we're going to push all our chips on the table because we have a really good shot at making the Western Conference Finals or even MLS Cup this year. That's when you talked about, Anthony, the flexibility. That's when they might make those executive decisions. So I'm liking the flexibility. I think that Will Kuntz is putting in these deals.
We kind of already spoke about Greg Vanney and the pressure he's under, and he needs to get it right, and he's going to definitely have like a way shorter leash this year. But Will Kuntz also knows that he's acknowledged that last year wasn't good enough, and certainly he mentioned that in the baseball world he probably would have gotten fired as well. So both these guys are under pressure in their own way. But who do you think is under more pressure? Greg Vanney to make sure this team is winning, or Will Kuntz to actually put the team together for Greg and get this all-important decision right of how do we replace Ricky?
I'm going to say Greg Vanney, just because, last season, as we mentioned earlier, they were using that excuse of, okay, Ricky's going to come back. Ricky's going to be back. Just wait till Ricky comes back. It's like Goku in Dragon Ball Z. Just wait till we get Goku. and now you don't have that excuse, So I think this is definitely, prove it for Vanney. Like, he has to show the Galaxy fans that he's not one-dimensional, because that is a common criticism that, if things aren't going perfect like they were in 24, he's not the guy.
And we're going to go into our last game of the evening, but before we do, go ahead and give the folks a shout out to your socials so that they can find you. I tell the homies, the Cuneros, all the time, like, we write things, so definitely make sure to hype up, where your articles are. You can find the articles, where they can find you on the socials and all that kind of stuff, man.
Cool, man. Well, like Rob said, first things first, we write things. We both write for the Sporting Tribune, so you can find us there. You can find us on our website. You can also find us on our socials at the Sporting Tribune. You can find me here. I put my social there for my Instagram, by Anthony Bautista. And then my @ for Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, it's by Anthony BA. They didn't let me put my full name on there. But everywhere else, you can find me by Anthony Bautista.
So it's on X. It's by Anthony Ba.
That's right. Yeah, I got cut short there.
Right on, man. What's it called? So guys, you guys heard of where to find Ant. You guys heard of where to find our writing. If you're here, obviously you guys stumbled on Lacuna Galaxiana somehow to make your way back. Definitely subscribe. Hit up youtube.com/@Lacuna Galaxiana, and pretty much at Lacuna Galaxiana is where you can find us pretty much everywhere. So go ahead and hit us up on Twitter, on Instagram, and definitely we would love you forever if you do go ahead and subscribe to this show. As we've mentioned a bunch of times, every little bit of energy and goodwill you guys throw us, we hope to put right back into this show to make it better for you, and bring you fun guests like the homie Anthony tonight, and certainly we've been able to sit with folks like Will and Uriel from the Galaxy's front office, so keep it locked here, guys. It's gonna be a season, right? But speaking of seasons, now we're gonna get into the last game of the night with my colleague Anthony Bautista. All right.
Yes, sir.
You can get a yes or a no. I mean, you can do the simple yes or no, or give me the yes or no and kind of give me the explanation. All right. So predictions for the 2026 season. Will the Galaxy challenge for a trophy? Yes or no?
Oh, man, this is tough. Truthfully, I'm going to say no. I don't think they'll make it to a final. I don't think so. But I do think they can make like a second round, maybe a Western Conference final appearance. I think that's probably a more realistic ceiling for this squad.
Will they make the playoffs? Yes or no?
Yes. I think that should be the bar. Truthfully, I think if the Galaxy don't make the playoffs this season, Greg Vanney should not be back.
We have a super chat from the homie G Cam, who quite simply says, "Do we?" Yeah, thank you, G Cam. We hopefully will see you very soon at the CVI.
I got to put that on the playlist tomorrow. I haven't listened to that track in a hot minute.
Ooh, no, I heard it the other day. It's still fire, baby. It's still fire.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of bangers on the Joseph Payne Still album, man. So
yeah, merci beaucoup.
Yeah.
That's a fire track, dude. That's a fire track.
What's it called? So if you guys haven't heard it, go ahead and put it in rotation.
Shout out to
you know it.
So this one is another yes or no. I'm sorry, it's not a yes or no. Rather, what seed will they finish in the West?
I'm gonna go fourth.
Fourth. Hey, well, that gives them the home playoff match.
I think that should be the bar. Like now that I think about it, like, yeah. I mean, like I said, we should be a good defensive team this year. We should be. Now it's up to Greg. Now it's up to the players to put in the work, but it's up to Greg to put in the discipline now, to instill that defensive mindset. That's going to be the key. And you know what? Like I said, I don't want to read too much into it, but 1-0, that's a good sign.
Right. They shouldn't be a team that just sneaks into the playoffs.
Correct.
Yeah, no, it should be much better than that. Breakout player of 2026. I mean, I kind of already asked you this one, but
to be honest, I think Sanabria should be due for a big season as well, just because, he was hurt most of last season. And truthfully, I think the Galaxy, they expected more out of him.
Most important signing of the offseason so far?
I'm going to say Hack, just because I feel like there's more long-term repercussions there. I feel like he's going to be a cornerstone for the franchise going forward.
Yeah, huge upside.
Biggest roster risk?
Ooh. Well, I think bringing in Klauss isn't exactly a risk, but it's more of a, if he has a great season, what do you do with him next year? Do you bring him back as a DP? Then in that scenario, do you have 4 DPs? So I think that could lead to something down the line.
Yeah, I think someone talked about this. Someone asked about this in chat, but I think the only reason why it was a DP is because of that $2 million cash trade that you had to bake into the 1.3 million that he's owed. But if he had stayed in St. Louis, he would have been at that 1.3, which is considered TAM. It's not necessarily max TAM. I believe max TAM, I could get these numbers wrong, but it's somewhere like below 2 million, something like that. Otherwise, you're constituted as a DP. So conceivably, I mean, his expectation is probably there or thereabouts in terms of a TAM type of contract. So again, I think that's just thinking ahead, and that's what all the reporting has been so far from various sources. So it's definitely possible, but in terms of a risk, I just think it's probably the opportunity cost for me. It's a risk of bringing in Klauss at the expense of maybe not a high quality number 10, right? That's kind of how I look at that.
Well, this might lead me to my next question, which is, what position is still the weakest on the roster?
Well, shoot, probably the midfield now, right? I think the midfield probably needs some work. And then, we were looking at the strikers, and, there isn't one clear-cut striker that we can say, is the cream of the crop there either. So I think the front half of the lineup definitely needs some work.
Really, you don't think Joao Klauss becomes the automatic starter?
I think so. But, I mean, again, I don't think there's a scenario where, Nascimento and Ramirez just ride the pine. I think there's going to be some scenarios where they start a game or two, to prove themselves, see if they can gel with the starters.
Alrighty. We have two more for you. Do the Galaxy finish above LAFC in the standings next year? Yes or no?
Oh, this is a tough one. I'm going to say no, just because at least they can fall back on that. They have a fully healthy roster. At the end of the day, the Galaxy are not going to be at 100% firepower.
And then the last one, does Greg Vanney finish out the year and stay past 2026? Yes or no?
Yes, he finishes out the year. Will he stay past 2026? I think depends on their placement in the playoffs. I could definitely see where, let's say they barely sneak in as like a 7 or an 8 seed. That probably wouldn't be good enough if they get bounced in the first round. But let's say he finishes anywhere between 3rd and 5th. I think that's a safe spot to keep his job.
Y'all heard it here with my colleague, Anthony Bautista. Man, we want to thank you for coming through on the show. And, again, we write things and writes wonderful stories. I'm there all the time next to him, and this guy has a really good, unique way of seeing the game. So definitely support the stories and support the writing there for the homie. Last question for you here, man, before we get on out of here.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, no, of course, man. This year, being that is Kobe Jones, or they're giving him a statue, right?
Yep.
You heard of that, right? So
that's right.
Who's next in your eyes? Who's the next Galaxy legend to get a trophy, to get a statue?
Oh man, this is a great question.
And you can't say me.
What about Alex? Alex Ruiz, he might be due for it, right?
Oh yeah, man. He might be due for one too, for sure.
Oh man. Shoot, does Zlatan get one? What do you think?
He does, man. He probably lobbies himself for one. That's for sure.
Doesn't qualify.
I don't think he gets one. Well, at least not for me.
You got some shouts in the you got some shouts in the chat. CN,
oh man, shout out to chat.
CN, Jotatino, any one of those tickle your fancy there?
Actually, Cienfuegos would be a great one, actually.
Yeah. I'm with
I'm gonna go with Cienfuegos. That's my vote.
I'm on the Jotatino train, man. I'm with GCam. I mean, you've got Chick Hearn out there in crypto.com arena. Why not Joe? Why not? Yeah, you got Vin. Why not Joe T, man? Why not the legend?
I'm for both these gents, becoming part of Legends Plaza right there, man. man, you've been a legend tonight, man. Thank you so much, Ant.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Thank you for chilling with us. And guys, if you were here watching this show with us tonight, rest assured, we are getting some more things in the works, so that the Sporting Tribune can bring you the best coverage of the Galaxy season. So watch out for that. We'll go ahead and share with you more as we know more. But I think that brings it to a close for us. Ananda, do you have anything else to add before we get on out of here?
I just want to say thank you to our special guests for coming on, man. We're happy to have you on. Hopefully we'll have you guys back on soon, and maybe you guys can do like a little Sporting Tribune, thing on La Cuna Galaxiana, and I can be out of the picture. I can stop being the third wheel, and you guys could drive the train and drive the show on home and give your perspectives and all that good stuff. But no, man, it's super fun. Thank you for coming on again, and thank you to chat. You guys are amazing. Guys, like I keep telling you guys, the season is less than a month away. 26 days,
so close.
I believe. Yeah, 26 days, I believe. Against Justin Hack's old team, NYCFC. I'm super excited. I'm starting to get my sort of like, I'm just really curious. Like, what is this team gonna look like? Like, we know how it looks like on paper, but how is it going to manifest on itself on the pitch? Like, CVI is going to be super fun. Unfortunately, I won't personally be there. I know, Rob, you're going to be there covering the CVI weekend. So more details are coming up on that for sure on the next couple of shows, guys. But I mean, just to see, like, I'm interested to see your reporting live too, Rob. Like, are we seeing that identity shift? Are we not? Is it too early? Like, what are the early signs pointing to that we can take into the season, into the first game in Panama, right? So super interested to see what happens to this team this year, but hey, can't be any worse than 27th place. So there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely can't be worse than 2025. And you know what? And when you and I get into that press box, well, believe us, we feel the vibe up there, and we'll be able to see like just how different it feels as we go into 2026. But it's a good time to remind you guys all that to go ahead and like, comment on this video. Let us know what you liked. Let us know what you didn't like. And always go ahead and give us those suggestions. So we want to go ahead and also remind you guys to subscribe to this channel so you guys can check out the back catalog. And then I don't believe at the moment we have a show scheduled for you on Thursday. We might be taking the day off, but that's not to say if we have some Galaxy news, we will not be popping up for you guys. So watch out for that. In the meantime, thank you so much for dropping by. I think there's only one thing left to say, right, Ananda?
Dale.
Jesus.